By any chance, have you ever asked yourself, what am I doing with my life? Or maybe sometimes you felt without the support that you needed and wanted to do something that you really, really wanted and desired in your life. My name is Hannah Meireles, and it is a huge pleasure to be here with you right now in this talk called The Family Business That We Lead Together. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here today, watching me, and for your openness to learn something new. I want to thank you for investing your time in this because I know how your time is extremely valuable. So thank you very, very much for being here with me today. I also want to thank you for the effort that you made to watch this talk, whether it is in your phone or in your computer, in your tablet, it doesn't matter. But I want to thank the technology that we have here today that allow you and I to be connected right now, wherever you are in this world. Sometimes the internet connection is not so good and you feel like you wanted to throw away your computer, out of the window, but anyhow, you're here. So even if you face any connection challenges with the internet today, be persistent, refresh your browser, and keep watching because I am going to give you my 100% today. So you can say bye-bye to the fight and chaos in your house, in your life, and get to know 3 principles to live your professional and personal lives with a balance and flow. So today you're going to learn 3 things. First one is how to be yourself and to do what you love so you can feel more fulfilled and live your passion. How to perform the multiple roles that you have in society with ease and grace so you can have it all. Family, career, love, relationships, health, wealth, and joy. And how to have a more balanced professional and personal lives so you don't burn yourself out and create a healthy and happy environment for you to live in. Therefore, you and your partner will say goodbye to any fights, any chaos, any misunderstandings, or even apathy that may exist between you two. And in this way, you will be able to manage together this business, also known as family, that you created together, or that you intend to create with someone else. What if you learn more about that? Are you excited? I am super, super excited for this talk today. So I said my name is Hannah and I am a wife, I am a daughter, I'm also a sister, a cousin, a niece, an auntie, a godmother, a goddaughter, an entrepreneur, an investor, a trainer, a development facilitator, a mentor, a teacher, a leader, but above all of that, I am a woman. And just like you, I perform several and different roles in my daily life. And I have been practicing what I'm going to show you here today for more than 10 years so far. And I have helped thousands of people around the world to do the same. So I hope that during this talk, you can experience a little bit about what these principles can do for you and for your life. So I'm going straight to it. The first principle we're going to talk about today is who I am and what I want. So who are you and what do you want in your life? Most people don't know themselves very well. And some of them even know themselves a little bit more than average, but nevertheless, they don't know what they want out of life. They didn't set goals and they did not stop to think really about their plans, their future. They didn't draw a vision for themselves and for what they expect of life. And this happens because we are born knowing what we came to do, why we came into this world to do. We all have a mission. We all have a vocation. However, over the years, with the influences from the society, and this includes everything that we learn from our parents, our caregivers, everything that we learn in school, from our teachers, from our grandparents, from friends, neighbors, and many other influences that we have had before, media, the church, and sports, so from everybody else that we had contacted with before. Everything makes us forget our true mission and vocation in this life. And we also forget about things that we really wanted to do. And because of these influences from the society, we begin to act according to what society expects from us, not necessarily according to our own desires. I interviewed hundreds of women throughout my career, and many of them confessed to me that they only had children, for example, because other people around them, or because they were somehow pressured by their relatives to have children. And doing what other people want us to do is much more common than we actually think. And this society movement starts very, very early in our life. You probably have heard a story like this from a friend. I only went to a medical school because my father's a doctor, my brothers became doctors too, so there was a huge pressure in my house for me to become a doctor. But all I ever wanted was to become a dancer. I wanted to do dancing in college, but imagine if I told my father that, Father, I wanted to dance during university, would you pay for it? My father would probably kill me. Have you ever heard something like this before? Maybe you heard from yourself. So how many times have you done something not because you wanted to do it, but because others want you to do it? Think about it. Did you choose any of your roles in society based on what other people wanted for you? Or have you made your life and career choices based on what you think is the best for yourself? Sometimes the outside influences happen not only at the time that you are going to choose a professional career, but also how that profession is performed. So I'm going to give you an example. I grew up listening to my godmother saying to me and my cousins every day, study hard to get a great job, earn a lot of money, and never depend on any man. Have you ever heard this? Yes? So I'm not alone here. Or maybe the speech in your home was totally different from this one. I heard that one from my grandmother, and that influenced and impacted my entire life completely. And with this very clear message from her in my head, I focused on doing exactly what my grandmother taught me to do. Whatever profession I chose, I knew I had to study very hard, work hard, get a good job. By the way, those of you who grew up listening to this get a good job speech hardly choose to be an entrepreneur right away. Why? Because we learn by seeing and hearing other people. So we also learn by repetition. And as I heard this mantra several times from my grandmother over and over and over, I decided to follow her advice. It was logical for my rational mind. I studied a lot. I started working at the age of 11. I entered college. I finished my university course. I got great jobs during my life. I made a lot of money, and I got my financial independence very early. And I kept working hard and harder and harder and harder until I was totally exhausted. I performed my job in a way that put me in few years of stress, burned out, and dissatisfaction. In addition to being stressed, I lost my ability to create, my willingness to work, and within a year, I went to hospital 6 times. All of this due to a very high level of stress. And I realized that besides the excessive stress I was doing at that moment, with what I was doing at the moment, it was something that I didn't want to do in my life anymore. I didn't have a pleasure anymore. I had other goals, other desires. I wanted to go back to my dream career, which was teaching. And that's exactly what I do today. And in this quest to follow my dreams and change my career, I came across countless books, trainings, teachers, mentors who helped me in this journey. A journey for me to discover a little bit more about who I am and what I want in my life. In her book called Becoming, Michelle Obama says, I think it's one of the most useless questions an adult can ask a child. What do you want to be when you grow up? As if growing up is finite. As if at some point you become something and that's the end. Just like Michelle Obama, I also believe we never stop growing. We are learning every moment, evolving, and therefore modifying ourselves, discovering new things and different opportunities all the time. And that means that who I am and what I am or what I want from my life can change. And when we feel that these desires are changing all times, or we are rescuing our dreams from the past, that we are still have them alive in us. Sometimes it gives us a feeling of despair or confusion, and we think, hold on, am I going through a middle age crisis right now? Or, my God, I'm totally lost. I don't know what to do in my life. I don't know what's my next step. I don't know if I quit my job to be with my baby for the first years, or I don't know what to do. I don't know if I want more children. Everything is already changing. Oh my God. So breathe. In these times, when people get a bit confused, lost, or even feeling so overwhelmed about our roles in society as a wife, as a partner, as an entrepreneur, as a worker, as a mother, a daughter, among so many other roles, it is important to know that there are tools available out there that can help us during times like this. One of those tools I discovered a few years ago, and I use with myself always, and I also teach my clients that, it's called the 3 most important questions. This was designed by an author called Vishen Lakhiani from a book, The Code of Extraordinary Mind. And to apply this tool, all that you need is a piece of paper, a pen, and you're gonna write your answers to those 3 questions. What experiences would you still like to have in your life? How would you like to grow or develop? What would you like to learn? And the third, how do you intend to contribute to the world? Take some time to do this for yourself. 3 minutes to every question is enough. Having a deadline like this, 3 minutes, will help you to set your goals about what you really want and according to your intuition. You're not going to have time to think. You're not going to have time for your little voice say things like, oh, what if I want to have an experience or grow as a volleyball player at the age of 40? What other people think? Would that be possible? Well, what my husband will say about this idea of me going to work 3 times a week, or instead of just taking care of the kids. You're not going to have time to think about these questions if you put a deadline for each question for yourself, to respond that, to answer that. So this is a moment for you to focus on yourself. It's a moment for you to think about your own life. One of my clients told me, for example, that as soon as we started working together, that one of the things she always dreamed of was living abroad. But she had never had the courage, not even to go abroad or to talk to her partner about it. And when she did this exercise, in that piece of what kind of experiences I still want to have, she wrote that down and, I want to live abroad, and put it up in her wall. Her partner saw it, and he actually, asked her about it. So what is this that you, wrote down there? I'm curious about it. Like, you wanted to live abroad. What is that? So they began to talk about this desire of living abroad. And she discovered that he also had this kind of a sleep dream of living abroad too. And guess what happened? 2 months later, they moved to another country. So I still see many people with big dreams in life giving up in the middle of the road, or even at the beginning of that journey. And they give up arguing that all the roles that they perform in life become bigger than themselves. Maybe you want to rethink this argument or this belief for yourself. Maybe you want to take some time for yourself, let's say 9 minutes, as we're suggesting here, for yourself, and write about your vision and aspirations for the future through this exercise of the 3 most important questions. Experiences that you would like to have in your life, growth, so how do you want to grow? How do you want to develop yourselves? And contribution, how do you intend to contribute to this planet? It could be to your family, to the society where you live, to the workplace that you are in, to your neighbors, it doesn't matter, to the country, to the world. You choose your contribution, right? So experiences, growth, and contribution. And if you have a partner, what about showing him what you wrote? And speaking of a partner, there it comes the second principle. Second principle is the ideal partner. It is one thing to know yourself and what you want to do in your life, what are your goals and dreams, and have this very clear. Another thing is to realize that we human beings are relational beings, social beings, and we want to belong. And therefore, it is natural that we want to live this life in partnership with other people. Maybe you are already married. Maybe you have a boyfriend. Or maybe you are single, but deep down inside of you, you want to meet someone who makes sense to you. Not just somebody, but you want to meet the person of your dreams, the person you have always visualized by your side, the right person for you who supports you in your life, in your career, who supports you in your choices, who understands that the word maternity, for example, exists in the dictionary for centuries, followed by the word paternity, and that these two words can coexist better together in a much more fair way in today's societies. Yes? So now think about this. When you go to the market and decide to buy, let's say, strawberries, do you take the first box that is in front of you and you say, let me take the strawberries right away? Or do you look at all the boxes and you go around, from bottom to top, and you see if there is any strawberry crumpled or smashed, and if you have any box there, they have strawberries which are more conserved, they are reddish, and probably they are sweeter strawberries. And from there, you choose the best box to taste it and take it home. You choose, right? You analyze that, right? So one of the fundamental things to have a balanced family and professional life is the power of choice. The choice that you have today in a society like ours. So most of us are free to choose our partners, which is still not true, unfortunately, for some cultures, even in the 21st century. But most of us are free to choose our spouses, but some people, they feel like a hostage to society. And they think that because other people are marrying at a certain age, they also need to marry, even if it is with someone incompatible with their own desires and ideals. Does society pressures you? Of course it does. Of course. All of us, right? I remember on my 30th birthday, my father called me to wish me happy birthday. And he said, 30 years, hey, my daughter, it is time to get married, huh? And this was the same father who did not let me date at all when I was a teenager. And now he's saying to me, you should get married. You see what I mean? It's society pressuring us. Choosing a life partner should also be a process of thoughts and analysis besides feelings, right? Some people say, I'm just going to feel in love for someone and that person is the person that I'm going to marry with. So for me, the important thing is to be able to be aware, to be aware and allow yourself to reflect and think on what kind of companionship you want for yourself, rather than immediately giving into social pressures, right? Without even stopping to think like most people do. Some years ago, I was in a training in Canada, and in one of the activities I did, I was part of a group with 2 other couples. So we were 5 of us. And one of these couples was together for 14 years. The other couple was married for 10 years. And both couples were so loving, so caring, gentle, and kind to each other, and attentive to their respective partner. And I was so inspired by them that I decided to ask them, what's the secret? What's the secret of your relationship? Because it's so beautiful. I want a relationship like that. And one of the couples said it to me, we chose each other. We chose each other. And then I thought, okay, but everyone chooses to marry someone. No one is obligated to marry anyone in our society. And as if they were reading my thoughts, this couple complimented their speech and they say, we choose each other, or we chose each other for the right reasons. And then they told me this. Both of them, before meeting each other, they actually had made a list with everything that was important to them in an ideal partner. She had made her list with all the characteristics, traits, and values she wanted in her life partner. And he had made his list too. And I went to the second couple that was there with us, and I asked the same question to them. And guess what? Each one of those spouses in that second couple also had made their own list before they met. They listed things such as personality traits and character they thought it was important in someone that they want to live their lives with. Things like values that this other person should have, life philosophies and beliefs that they would like this other person to have, among other intellectual, emotional, or even physical characteristics. They describe it all over. So, they wrote that in a piece of paper. Sometime later, for some reason, and because of the law of attraction, each of the people in those two couples manifested their ideal partner. And I was very skeptical at the time. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know if this is going to work, but it's not going to hurt to do this list, right? So maybe I should try. Let's see. So I decided to do the same when it was my time to find a partner. When I felt ready, now I feel ready and I want to manifest this life partner. So I decided to do the same thing. I wrote down a list with all the things that I wanted to manifest in my ideal partner. And a year after I built this list, a year after telling the universe exactly what my expectations were, I found the one who is my husband today, exactly the way I thought. And if you already have a partner, you may be thinking here, oh, Hannah, this principle does not apply to me, it's not valid for me, because I've been already married for so many years with my husband, and you know what? Men don't change, right? But let me tell you this. Often, even if we have chosen well, the years go by and it seems that the relationship changes or it wears off, and then we don't know what to do. Now, do you want a mediocre relationship? Do you want a mediocre life? I'm sure that you, like me, I'm sure that you want to live the life of your dreams. How about you finding a partner or making your current partner the person who shares your activities at home and outside home with you? How about watching your partner becoming that person who really supports you, who really helps you, who really supports your choices and vibrates with your professional victories? How about watching your partner becoming the father to your children and the manager of your house, doing as much as you do as a parent and as a manager of the family business you both have together? People change as long as they want to change. We don't have the power to change people. I believe that. But as long as they decide that they want to learn new things. In fact, a tip for you that is, thinking about writing your ideal partner list. I highly recommend that you write down things like he's always looking to learn new things, especially about himself. I had that one in my list. So when the other person wants to change, they change. But the other person also changes when I change, watching my example. So my partner's change can come from me. As more as he feels, as more as my partner sees my own change, he will be inspired to change too. So one of the solutions is to change the way we relate to our partners. If we change this way to relate with each other, we can, for example, be able to generate and raise children sharing half domestic and parenting responsibilities. We can do that with our partners. Some people think, oh yes, my partner already helped me. I would rethink that word. I don't think you want the partner to help you. I think you want a partner to have responsibilities and feel that responsibility towards your children and towards your house as you also feel, right? And in this way, the relationship between the couple will be more, fair than it has been in the last centuries all over the planet. And neither in the couple will have to let go of their personal dreams and goals, because now they both equally share this business that they built together. Yes? So an example of this is the next time there is a meeting at your child's school, instead of you going immediately, agree first with your husband for him to go this time, because your child will be happy and proud to see the dad as involved as the mother in participating in his school life. And as a side effect, your partner will end up inspiring other couples to do the same. The other day I watched Melinda Gates telling a story that Bill Gates, right, her husband, and her, they talked when their kids were very little, when the first kid went to school, they talked and they agreed that Bill Gates would drive the kids to school. So he was driving the kids to school. And a few weeks later, all the mothers approached her and said, she started a revolution in the school. And she asked why. And they said, you know what? Because now all of us wives, we said to our husbands, if Bill Gates can drive the kids to school, you also can drive them, right? And their entire perspective changed completely. So when your daughter has a stomach ache and you feel the urge to leave the place where you are right now, to leave your work or wherever you are, to take her to the doctor, call your husband and ask him to leave the place where he is and take your daughter to the clinic, since it would be important for your daughter to realize that the father cares for her as much as you, the mother, cares. Yes? So when your spouse comes to you saying, love, our housemaid is not ironing my shirts right, you need to talk to her, you go back to him and you say, love, can you talk to her directly about this? I think she would respond better and faster and iron your shirts better, because she will understand your need by hearing directly from you. Does that make sense at all? Yes? So when we change our behaviors, we tend to inspire behavioral changes in other people. So ask yourself this, what's my part in this? How can I influence my partner to have a different behavior towards equality in our home, in our family business? And there is a third principle that can directly help us to change everything. And this third principle, it's called the life agreement, or what one of my mentors and coaches called as a code of honor. You see, for me, a family is an institution. It works more or less like this, more or less like a company, a business. And since I have a history of working in large organizations with businesses and corporations, I always like to make such a comparison, such a parallel. A company sometimes has partners, right? You have two or more people that decided to start a business together, and they associate themselves and even sign a contract. With a couple, there's no difference, right? Two people decide to start a family. Many couples legally, like me and my husband, we went to a legal office, institution, and we signed a contract, right? We even have witnesses for that. But for all couples in the world, from the moment they decide to live together under the same roof, they already constitute a family. So for a company to have a good performance, the partners in that company, they make agreements, they create rules, they create procedures and policies where they establish what each one will do in that company in a fair way, and making clear the contributions and responsibilities of each one in their partnership. Now, for a family to have a greater dynamic, wouldn't it be smarter if we would make agreements and create rules establishing what each one in that couple will do, making clear the contributions and responsibilities of each one of us? Wouldn't it be so much fair, much more fair for each one of us, rather than just repeating all the patterns or stereotype-based relationships that we have seen before, that establish what a man should do and what a woman should do in the marriage. So if we create a family business together, what about managing it together? Really? And what I mean by that is this: if my partner and I decide to create a family together, how can we manage this family with the tools to help us to achieve our goals? Joint and individual goals, right? How about doing activities related to this family, whether it is domestic or raising children, or even related to our intimacy as a couple? So what about doing all these activities together? Sharing responsibilities by half-half. I was once in a video call with a client, and she was pregnant at the time. And at the end of the call, her husband, showed up in the video. And I asked him, "Hi, how are you? So, well, I know you travel a lot at your work, and how are you going to do when the baby comes?" Immediately he started answering me. He said, "Well, her mother will be here in a few days, and she will be with us here for the entire month, helping with the baby initially. I'm also already trying to cut some of my trips down." Think about this. What this answer brings to us is this. This is a couple, by the way, that they were in the beginning of their 30s, okay? So Generation Y, quite modern, right? Really? Although sometimes I think that the new generations deal with parenting in another way, different from our parents' generation. Most times, and especially when it comes to the dilemma between motherhood and professional choices, we still act like our parents. And our actions come from our thoughts. And we think at this way exactly because we have learned from our previous generations that this is supposed to be the right way to do things. We learned that if I have a mother or a mother-in-law, since my grandmother also helped my mother to raise me, we think that it's okay. I will call one of them, either my mother or my mother-in-law, and they will come and help me out here. How about instead of calling your mother and mother-in-law to help, you agree with your spouse that he will really play full on the role of the father? For example, changing 50% of the diapers, since you will exchange the other 50%. We have a chance to change all of their conceptions in today's society, yes? So one of the ways we can do this is through a life agreement, right? Or as I mentioned, Blair Singer names it as a code of honor. A life agreement is a simple set of rules that you and your partner will establish together. You will get yourselves together to write that down, think through that process. And in this way, you're going to get out of that mediocre relationship that everybody else has. And you're going to create a fantastic relationship with your partner, if that's what you wish and desire, right? And in this way, you will live a longer life together with clarity, with more justice for both of you in that relationship. And this doesn't automatically mean that you will write in your life agreement with your husband some things, for example, like, you know, you are going to stay home and focus solely on parenting and the house chores, and I'm going to go out and make money. Right? We all have desires to contribute somehow. Most people in this planet, they do want to contribute not only at home, but outside as well, doing some work, right? And it's important for us to take this into consideration. We are in the 21st century already. And it's funny because our society jumped from, in the past, women did all the work in the family business that they created with their husbands and stayed at home to focus on it, raising and educating the children and all the housework tasks. Society moved from that to all the way to women continue to do all of that they did in the past. And additionally, they also found jobs that generated more income for this family business, right? Or family. Now, how about the middle way, right? It doesn't need to be just that in the past or just this new thing in the future where we have now 3 shifts that we work and we stress ourselves out and we burn ourselves out until sometimes we just give up of everything. There is a middle way. Wouldn't it be more logical and healthier if while I, a woman, add activities into my plate and also my husband adds activities to his plate as well? So wouldn't it be more logical for me to go to 50% of the consultations with the pediatrician while my spouse works? And then he goes to the other 50% of the consultations with the pediatrician while I work. Because what happens is that when I accumulate much more tasks than my husband, right? Or my husband feels like he's just doing the work that every other man did in previous generations. So if that relationship is still based on those previous stereotypes, eventually, at some point, I'm going to feel frustrated, helpless, without support. And then I'm going to say, you know, I'm doing much more things here. I'm working much harder in this partnership. Even if you don't mind in the beginning, right? But with the years, you will feel, oh my God, that's not the life that I signed up for. What am I doing with my life, right? So at some point, I will maybe feel fed up and I might want to get out of that relationship. And giving up may even be an option, of course. But why not? You know, why not to try one of the options that benefits everybody involved, not only the couple, but also your kids? How about starting out by proposing or suggesting a conversation with your spouse for you both to build your life agreement? And with discipline and honesty, you both will understand together that there is a difference between taking responsibility for tasks and helping with tasks. For example, you don't want somebody only to help. You want both in the relationships to feel 100% responsible for whatever happens in that family business. Yes? So in short, the 3 principles that we talked about today. Invest in finding out more about yourself, who you are, and what you want from life. Second, make a list to manifest your ideal partner or to start by changing your own behaviors so that your partner becomes the ideal partner. And finally, establish a life agreement with your partner and with your family. And in this way, your family and professional lives will be much more balanced, right? For many, many years, I have been teaching women and men how to apply these 3 principles, you know, how to put them in practice and apply them in their lives and make their relationships better, not only relationships with themselves, but with other people, by knowing themselves, by exercising their autonomy and authenticity. And if you want more information about that, if you want to keep in touch with me, please click below here and go to my website, and you will have a free amazing gift. It is my new brand new masterclass where you can go deeper into the subjects that we talked to here today. And you're going to keep in contact with me, and it will be a pleasure to support you in this journey. So please just go below, sign up in www.hannahmeireles.com to find out, yes, what you have over there. Sign up for this, and I'm sure I will see you soon. It was a great pleasure. Sorry, it was a huge pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you so much for watching me. A big hug, and I'll see you next time.